possible impacts of an unsecured storage system?
Well, a quick Google search will show you where all the open S3 buckets for an Amazon space are right now, and there are millions of them. So what's the impact? An open bucket is literally a file repository that I can just browse to in my browser and take any information out of it that I want with no authorization, no control, and you may not be aware that I even took a copy of it, depending on the type of logging that you're running. So the risk is dramatic. It's as catastrophic as you could possibly consider for any business.
Yeah, whether it's storage management or even just your regular environment, your patch management, vulnerability management program has to be, I won't necessarily say mature, but you have to have governance over that and an active program with that. And in the storage, if we just talk about storage management and whether it's a SAN or maybe an HCI cluster of some sort, VMware, Hyper-V, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But, protecting that management layer of those systems and being able to really isolate who has access to that and how they have access.
I think this should be from day one the main core, and I love this. I'm a big fan of this because at the end, look, no matter where you work, software company, bank, technology companies, agriculture, at the end, we all produce data. And the hackers are after our data. In a bank, data is the money. In a software company, is the IP. In agriculture, is maybe the cost price. In an oil company, is again the cost price, right? At the end, oil is free. They just pump it out.
See, storage system, if you look at it, 3 different levels or 4 different levels. One is that the confidentiality side. What if that data, which is going to be leaked? Data can be our business sensitive data, it can be PII data, it can be of any of that nature. Availability of the data, which is critical for us to have the service availability or service resilience at any point of time. Integrity of the data.
But what has happened in a lot of companies is sort of a siloing, right? Where IT has its secret sauce and security has its secret sauce, and they don't necessarily always blend. I think having security officers, information security officers in the business units helps with that approach of being able to know what the secret sauce is for those applications that support that business.
Data-centric security concept, driving security to the data itself and making sure that, back to your point about identifying your critical information assets, not just hardware, but information assets is critical. Offsite and offline backups obviously go a long way. And then, of course, cloud-based, right? I mean, what you mentioned about data, and you talk about unprotected storage buckets and the kind of, chaos that happens if you don't really put a lot of attention there is absolutely unimaginable.
A good CISO and good IT security team needs to be engaging with the data side of house, because, solely, how do you ensure that you're doing security by design? If they're not talking to you, how do you do security by design? DevSecOps, how are you doing your DevSecOps? If they're not talking to you, how do you do that? You can think that they're doing it, and you go, oh, yeah, and they give you a nice warm fuzzy feeling, but unless you're checking that, you've no idea that happens.
The key things about it is, I mentioned before, related to ransomware, where do they have their backup? How they could bring those backup up. There are 2 parts to it. Is if you look at the CIA tried, a lot of people concentrate on the confidentiality and integrity. People kind of forgotten the availability of it, and ransomware had showed to everybody the availability of the data is as important or more important, especially for a certain type of operation.
I think everyone is forced to work together now. I think because of the way of the world with COVID and coming back out of COVID now, folks have been forced to work in a closer way across virtual technology and things like that. And when issues and outages have happened, people are forced to really collaborate and get to know each other and know who to talk to. So
I do feel like, at least I feel like a lot of people are getting on board with that now and understanding the necessity. I definitely think that instead of this mentality of, well, I'll just do some backups, there's more of this thought of like, well, what happens if the backups, are compromised. And, it's not just about the backups all the time. A lot of times, we need to have more of this defense in depth strategy to it.
Let's look at what is happening now in the world of ransomware. Obviously, the cyber adversaries are much more clever. They're not only attacking the primary storage, but if you have a connected backup, that connected backup storage is vulnerable. But they're also doing things like they're attacking Active Directory, and they're looking at opportunities for there to propagate to other systems.